What's going down, everybody? Your good friend Ryan, Uncle Brando here, dropping in quick before the show with a little bit of news. We had a local member of our community the other day pass away. Ryan Christie was his name. Hell of a Magic player. And we wanted to take a minute to dedicate the show to him today.
He's a good dude. He was like Ryan said, pillar of the Regina Magic community, a good friend to our good friend Keel. We got to meet him, break bread with him, drink beer with him, and our hearts and thoughts go out to his family and friends in this time. It's always terrible when you lose somebody that's close to you, especially when they're so young. So we want to dedicate today's show to him and his loved ones. Hey, listen to Commander Cookout Podcast, episode 481. I'm Brando. I'm here with Ryan. We're going to talk about the ban list. Now hit our theme song! Hey, Ryan. We're back for yet another whirlwind adventure. How you doing?
Good. What is going down?
Whole bunch is going down. We're going to talk about the ban list and whether we think that those cards should remain out of the game forever or become part of the game changer list. We got some stories to tell, some people to thank. Before we get to any of that, we have to thank our official business daddies, FusionGamingOnline.com, your source for all your gaming needs, where you can use special promo code CCO Holiday to save 5% off all of your banned cards, one of which I bought because I didn't realize it was on the list. We'll talk about that when we get to it.
I love when that kind of stuff happens, especially to you.
And any other card that we talk about here today. We also want to thank Pile of Bones Brewing Co. They're the second coolest thing to come out of Regina, as well as being the official beer sponsor for CCO Sidewalk Slam. Season 3 just premiered right here on YouTube.
Oh, baby. Look at it's on the back TV. You'd see that if you're watching on YouTube.
Which should be.
And you should watch Sidewalk Slam on YouTube as well. Yeah, very much so. Big thanks to producer Gary, who is working the production behind the scenes today. We appreciate that. And, of course, the whole Dufferin Avenue Media Network Studio Network. Yep.
Yes,
and,
we would not be here without the network.
Yes, very much so. And the Business Daddies. I just got a shipment from the Business Daddies, ordered it, used CCO holiday promo code, showed up in 3 days at a discount, playing Magic the Gathering cards with those cards now.
Nicely done.
Yep, very much so. Yellow basic lands.
How many did you
get? 2.
Just 2?
2. Well, I don't run very many basics in my 4-color deck, Uncle Brando.
Ooh.
Get with the program.
Blood Moon.
Not
a game changer.
No. So, okay, over the last couple weeks, we've been talking about the new bracket matchmaking system to, I guess, mixed opinions. Are things going to change? Should we do anything different? If you want to know our opinions and, I think at this point in time, pretty comprehensive breakdown of our thoughts.
Yeah. We've been talking about it for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Has to be comprehensive.
Plus on the pre-show as well for 2 weeks. So we've got several hours worth of stuff. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out. I think we did a pretty good job. We got some compliments. We got a lot of intel and extra thoughts provided to us in our Discord, which is a wonderful benefit to becoming a Patreon supporter.
Lots of people said that it... Wait, hang on.
Oh, yeah, what?
Patreon.com/CCO Podcast if you would like to become a Patreon supporter.
There you go, yeah.
Every little bit helps. We wouldn't be here without them.
Very much so. Okay, so...
I noticed... Sorry, and then back to what I'm saying now for stretching here. I noticed from what I saw on the Discord, I couldn't get through all of it because I'm bad at Discord and it's
because he's 100.
Because I'm 1,000 years old. A lot of the stuff I saw is like, yeah, it works fine, but it's basically just the same as the 10 system.
Yes.
So...
Every
Much ado about nothing, maybe?
Well, a little bit it is, but, and this is the final thing I'll say on it. No, what I say? Two things I always say, right? Okay, so every one bracket counts as 2 now. So a 1 is a 1 or a 2. A 2 is a 3 or a 4. A 3 is 5 or a 6.
Uh-huh.
A 4 is a 7 or an 8.
There we go. There it is.
And then a 5 is a 9 or a 10.
Excellent.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is the final thing, is it gives us actual tools. It gives us the language. It gives us something official, something more concrete than what the command zone said like 5 years ago.
Yes.
It's like a fucking 7. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Every deck's a 7. Now every deck's a 3.
Yes. Now, if we wanted to maybe make our decks into 4s or 5s or 6s or 7s, we could play some banned cards, but we wouldn't be allowed to.
Yes, we would be then cheating. So what we have to do is change the rules so that we can play banned cards.
Or wait until, when is it, April, when the next, like the game changer and banned list updates are going to come out. And I think we're going to see some changes. I would be surprised if we didn't see changes.
I would be shocked.
And in the way of, or this is how I think changes are going to happen, is card on banned list gets put onto game changer list.
Do you think there's going to be a tiered game changer list? I don't want there to be.
No.
But do you think there will
No,
be?
because then that's another list.
Exactly. That's why I don't want
People
there
are
to
already, one of the criticisms is people are already saying, oh, well, why do we need a game changers list? That's like a point system like Canadian Highlander has, or it's a secondary list when there's already a banned list. Blah, 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 right?
Right.
We don't need to make it any more complicated. We don't need the barrier to entry to be any higher for new players, right? But when you take a card off the banned list that does make it available for play at a certain kind of expected power level of deck, tier 3, or bracket 3, 4, or 5. So when you do that, what you're doing is functionally eliminating it out of pre-con play or lower powered play. And I think that that's great.
Great idea.
Because these cards are on the banned list because obviously they're very powerful.
Correct.
Obviously they're going to change games that they're in.
What list are we looking at here on the screen? Because this is not the...
Oh, this is the legacy banned
Yeah, I was
list.
like, lots of... These cards are not banned in Commander, my guy.
Commander banned list.
There
Here
we
we go.
go.
So, we have got, and I don't even know how many cards are on the Commander banned list. Let's say that there's like 40.
We're going to go through the ones that are worth talking about.
Yep.
So we're going to skip the Power 9.
Yep.
We're going to skip the Dexterity cards. We got to like flip it up in the fucking sky and blow on it. And if it stays in the air for 10 minutes, if it touches a card, you blow the card up. We're
Yes.
going to skip that kind of shit.
Though I wish that one was unbanned. I wish Chaos Orb was unbanned so bad.
It costs so many dollars, I feel like it wouldn't really matter if it came off the ban list, but I understand why it's on there,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You got to leave it on there.
It's an $800 or $900 Magic card. Can you imagine if it came off the banned list? What that price would do? It'd go to like 10 grand.
Oh yeah. And then you physically have to throw it around to play it. That's the best part.
That's the best part. That's the best part. Oh man, do you remember? Oh man, do you remember when whoever it was, David Manning? It was somebody in our local community. It's like doing his fucking warm ups and shit. His stretches to throw his Chaos Orb, throws it and it goes right onto his board, blows up like 6 of his land. Oh, his own shit. Oh man.
That was very funny.
It's such a ridiculous card. That's why I want it to be unbanned.
Agreed.
Anyways, okay.
I would certainly play it if I could.
Now, you went to EDH Night Magic, EDH&M, the other day, yesterday, and talked with a bunch of CCO dude bros.
Yeah, took it to the boys.
On Beer with the Boys? Band list Beer with the Boys?
Yes.
BBBO with Uncle Brando?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And
BBBO.
You talked about which cards should very definitely be banned forever.
Yes.
Like life in prison, no chance of parole. And you talked about what could potentially come off.
Yeah. And become game changers and thereby be cards that are okay.
And I love to play the game where we pit 2 cards against each other and see which one, if we had to, gun to our head, unban one, keep the other banned. And I want to kind of just go through the list in this way. Like my way and the way that you did yesterday to kind of pick and put our opinions out there.
Okay.
Okay, where do you want to start? Like just at the top?
Let's start at the top with balance.
Balance. Okay, this is a 2 mana. This is white 1 sorcery, and everybody sacks down to the least number of everything.
Essentially everything. Lands, creatures, cards in hand. You see who has the least, then everybody has that many, thus bringing the game into balance.
Yes. And balance was a card that they also reprinted with Suspend called Restore Balance. So this is an effect that we can already play, right?
Yes.
So I guess with Restore Balance, it is telegraphed.
You see it coming for, I think, 3 turns?
3 turns. Though you can, with the timey-wimey precon, if you want to take some of those cards, you can speed run your time counters and do it the same turn. But that's not that good because it's still telegraphed, and people still know that this is the kind of shit you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? So should balance be banned or unbanned?
I'm fine with it being banned, not because we learned a new term. I don't know if we learned a new term, but one of the things that a couple of the guys like to talk about last night was the term chaos gremlin.
Okay.
And I feel that's where a lot of, at least in our group's consensus, people were thinking that there were cards that were on this list because of the chaos gremlin, the guy that just randomly plays Armageddon, like just because it's funny.
Oh yeah,
they do it to make the griefers is what I call them.
Yes.
They play it to make you mad.
The griefer is I think a more universal term. The term that I use a lot of the times is like social immaturity. They don't know that this isn't an appropriate way to play the game to most people.
Yeah.
And balance would be the kind of thing that if it becomes unbanned, you go to a big Magic Facebook group with 100,000 people in it, and somebody types in, "Oh, what's the best way to break balance? I want to piss my friends off."
Exactly. Yes.
That's the guy.
Yes. Those are the guys that you're looking out for. Can you play balance? I'm going to use the words responsibly and use it to win games. Absolutely, you can. You can absolutely do it.
I would put it in Stacks decks or in Planeswalker decks, like people put Armageddon in, where you don't actually care if you eliminate all of your own version of this resource, because you still have like Planeswalkers.
You still have value and sources of energy.
Turn to get your advantage back, mana, card advantage, tokens, whatever, right?
And I think just because like at the low end, balance is going to be a card that somebody's just going to play because they're behind, and now everybody's behind, and it kind of just, let's just say for what it is, it fucks the game up.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's probably why for me, that's why it could stay on the ban list.
Yep.
I don't want somebody I've been random Armageddon before, and it sucks. And I feel like random balance is even a little bit worse because it makes it difficult to
it's more than one thing, right? It's
Yeah.
not just your lands like Armageddon. It's your lands and your cards in hand and your creatures and your artifacts. Like, it's everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to do a thing here.
Okay.
We talked about balance.
Yep.
What about Worldfire? Now, Worldfire costs like 8.
Yeah.
But it does kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, also costing 8, also doing kind of the same thing when you build around it and do the responsible thing. Next card, Biorhythm.
Yeah.
Now, all of these cards, Balance, Biorhythm, Worldfire, I would consider them the same type of card when used to win the game.
Yes.
I have 1 damage on the stack, and I Worldfire, everybody's life becomes 1, and everybody's permanents go bye-bye, then I win. Or Planeswalkers with balance. Or Biorhythm is life totals become equal to creatures.
Yes.
If I cast Wrath of God, play a 1-drop, and then play a Biorhythm, my life goes to 1, your life goes to 0.
Yes. Or player 3 plays Wrath of God and kills all the dudes and then passes to you, and then you play Biorhythm and everybody else dies except for them.
Oh, the old offensive defensive Biorhythm? Yeah. Okay, so Balance was our first card. We're unbanning it.
Are we?
We are.
Okay.
But hear me out.
Okay.
We're pitting it against Biorhythm. One of them has to be banned. One of them is going to be unbanned.
Well, I'd unban Biorhythm in a heartbeat.
Biorhythm's the one?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because it does the same thing to a game as a card like Torment of Hailfire, a really big Comet Storm, Cyclonic Rift. All those cards kind of do the same
Crater
thing.
Hoof Behemoth? Worldfire?
You invest a large amount of mana, and it probably results in you winning the game. This one just actually says you win the game on it.
Biorhythm.
It requires lots of work on your behalf. It requires a board state that has to be carefully sculpted. You could certainly eat shit off of it as well if somebody paths the creature that you play to make you survive your own Biorhythm.
Or die to your own Biorhythm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that this is a perfectly fine card to come off the ban list. And
oh, no. You know what I like? I like path your guy. You're going to die to your own Biorhythm. But also on the stack, I'm going to generous gift my own thing to give myself an elephant. And then my life total goes to 1. You die. Yeah. There's the defensive Biorhythm. And yeah, it's 8 or 9 mana or whatever.
It's 8.
This is fine.
And it's printed on a creature right now. You can play Biorhythm in Commander right now.
For more mana, and you have to have 8 total power or more.
Yeah.
And it's
in green, that's so hard.
Sorcery speed.
Yeah.
Or like at summoning sickness speed.
Yes.
So Biorhythm, unbanned.
Absolutely.
Okay, are we talking about Braid's Cabal Minion?
No.
No?
No.
You don't...
No. She's banned because you don't want to see her in the command zone. That's why that card is banned.
And we already have Turgid in that same spot on the black Game Changers list. Leave Braid's banned?
We can just leave her out of there. I don't think anybody really wants to play against that deck. I have in the past before she was banned, and it was a nightmare.
And now you could play against Turgid or Toxrill and sort of have the same experience.
Yeah.
And Turgid's already on the Game Changers list. So you're not going to see that unless you're playing higher powered games.
Exactly.
Okay,
and there's already things that just do it better, so she can just stake on.
Braids, see Turgid. Take some fucking notes.
Yes.
Okay. Chaos Orb we talked about. I want it unbanned so bad. But I know that it won't be. The next one.
Okay.
Coalition Victory. I want this freaking card unbanned so bad.
I'm fine with it being unbanned. A couple of the people are like, yeah, but like my 5-color deck, it's just, oh, shut up with your 5-color deck. Like, yeah, you're going to win a game with it like once. You know what I mean?
But don't people want it in their 5-color decks?
Well, yeah, they do, but like, oh, it's going to make my deck so good. No, it's not.
No, it isn't. It costs 8.
It costs 8. It was Wooburg and fucking 3. Like, it's not good.
It costs 8. We just talked about Biorhythm and Worldfire and Crater Hoof and Cyclonic Rift. Yeah. I know that that's 7, but fuck, those all cost 8, and those are fine.
Yeah.
I probably.
And this one is the most fragile of the lot. Like, any removal spell will stop this.
Dude, oh my God. Okay. I can't win the game with cards like Torment of Hailfire or Exsanguinate or Debt to the Deathless unless I put more than 8 mana into it, and people are like, those cards need to be on the Game Changers list. But you want Coalition Victory fucking off the Game Changers list? Like, what?
Yeah.
Coalition Victory, I think, and here's my first actual prediction, I think it's going to be one of the ones that's downgraded from banned and put onto Game Changers. I think it's going to be one of the ones.
You know what? Hot take. I would just take it off of both lists and put it into the fucking game.
Oh, man. That's a good take. That's a good take.
And then there's somebody out there just like kind of whacking it while they're thinking about it, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah, like I just did."
But what if you go land Prismatic Omen? Because then your lands are all basic land types, and then you play Transguild Courier, and then you wait 5 turns, and your vanilla 2/2 stays alive, and you play. That's true. You got me. The card's broken. Like
the card's broken, dude. But you needed like 5 other cards to combo with it, and it can't be in your command zone.
Yeah, and all of those cards are shitty. Like
this whole episode is going to be we're the cartoon dog sitting in the house on fire.
This is fine.
This is fine. Yeah. Coalition Victory is fine.
Yeah,
this is fine.
I honestly don't even know why it was banned in the first place. I really don't. Given that there are so many other cards that do the same thing with less hoops to jump through. Like
the same thing, meaning end the game.
Yeah, the game is just over now.
Yes. Because this one says that you win.
Yeah, there is no functional difference between Torment of Hailfire for 60 and this. And Torment of Hailfire for 60 isn't as egregious as you think it is. I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm. I seen it. Mm-hmm. I want to put if this gets unbanned straight into my 5-color deck, it's an 8-drop and I play ad nauseum, I'll just frickin' cut something. I'll just get all my duels and shocks and my tri-lands, and I'm be the guy that has like the frickin' $10,000 mana base, and then I'm going to cast my frickin' 5-color naked baby weird thing commander.
Child of
Lara. And then I'm going to cast Coalition Victory. And if they blow up my Child of Alara in response, they're going to lose all their permanents anyways. It's so sick.
What if they wasteland one of your lands?
Don't care. Play it from a graveyard. I'll wasteland one of my own fucking lands.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Then you won't win. It's perfect.
I'll just play it from a graveyard.
Right, it's easily. Then you won't have Coalition Victory anymore.
I play Yawgmoth's Will in that deck. I ain't bad at this game. If I'm going to build a degenerate deck, I'm going to go all the way piece of crap.
All right.
I am that guy.
You heard it here first.
Okay. Coalition Victory, unbanned.
Unban that one.
Okay, next one, Channel.
That has to stay on.
Oh, fuck, that's staying banned. 100 days out of 100.
Yes.
Yes.
Not the universal approval, because there was a couple of guys at the table that didn't know what Channel does. If you don't know what Channel does, part of the original Magic the Gathering combo.
Tell them.
Green. Until end of turn, you may pay life to add colorless mana to your mana pool.
So what you do is start the game with like a Dark Ritual or a whatever. No, Dark Ritual is perfect because we're talking about Torment to Hailfire and Exsanguinate.
Yeah.
You go Swamp, Dark Ritual, gives you 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, how do we make green
you have to
for
make
Channel?
green.
Ah, fuck.
Originally, I believe, what was it? Black Lotus, Channel Fireball, I win?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Back when, like in 1993, it was your 60 card deck had 20 channels, 20 Black Lotus, and 20 fireballs. Channel Fireball. That's where the name comes from.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, you just Dark Ritual, you frickin' channel, you pay 39 life, you've got black from your Dark Ritual, you've got a 40-point Exsanguinate on turn 2.
Yep.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah. And that's why you can, or in like even a less ridiculous kind of world, you could do like Lotus Petal Forest, channel Ulamog.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Turn 1, right?
Turn 1 Ulamog.
That's enough.
I have seen a turn 1 Kozilek with Swiftfoot or with Lightning Greaves on it on the back of a Metalworker. It's pretty good. Metalworker's pretty good.
Yeah, Metalworker pretty good.
Lightning Greaves with its 0 cost equip, very good.
Yeah.
Guy got Annihilator Ford, and he didn't even take a turn of magic yet. Yeah. He's like, okay, I guess I'll just take 10 and sacrifice nothing. That card's not even good.
Oh. Ooh, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, you know who won that game?
That guy.
Fucking me.
What? Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
I won that game.
I do remember that
game. Yeah, that guy got pounded for having a turn 1 Ulamog or a
Kozilek.
Kozilek. And I was playing budget Zata, didn't even have a soul ring. I fucking beat him. He was not happy.
Good.
Okay, next one.
I'm glad you looked
Channel
happy.
stays banned.
Yep.
Dockside Extortionist.
I'm fine leaving that one off the list.
Leaving it
on the list.
Banned?
Leaving it banned. And I have a bunch of them. And yeah, it'd be cool if they got unbanned. But I think, and a lot of the people in our survey group agreed that it just gets kind of too egregious.
Okay, let's skip ahead real quick down to Primeval Titan. Because people are making the comparison. Dockside and Primetime are essentially the same card, except Dockside's way better if you want to blink it for mana.
Yeah.
Where Primetime is a lot better if you want to like cheat different kinds of lands into play.
Yes.
But it costs 6. Dockside costs 2.
Yeah.
Do we leave Primetime on the ban list? I think that card could come off.
I think I'm fine with it staying gone for this reason.
Okay, tell me.
This reason. For right now, as of today, February 28th, 2025.
Sure.
Primeval Titan could probably be on the game changer list, and that'd be fine.
Yep.
But Brando, what if they get the Wasteland and the Strip Mine? Sure, that could happen. What if they get Vesuva and Dark Depths? Yeah, you probably could do that. What if you get Urborg and Coffers?
Coffers, yeah.
Sure, yeah, like all those things are going to happen. Those are all things that could happen, yes. Those are all true, real-life things. Come Final Fantasy, when they print, I don't know, Vector, and Vector
Is that a character?
It's a city. It's the capital city in Final Fantasy VI. And it comes into play and does 5 damage to every creature you don't control. They can't be regenerated if they die. Or something like that. You could get another land that just is so...
It's a spell.
Let's say they take Caracas off the list, and then you can like
go and get
for your
Caracas and bounce somebody's...
Right? Like, I feel like lands, and I hate to say the word power creep, but I will... Lands are going to get power crept as they go, and Primetime being as it is and around, I feel eventually will become a problem again, and will probably have to go off. So that's kind of, I think it's just a design space thing where I feel that they're just going to eventually print something that breaks it.
They shot themselves in the foot with Primetime, but they want to force it back in there to say, hey, this is actually okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Primetime and this whole discussion, and newsflash, we're not going to get through this whole list today. We're just freaking not. I don't want to turn over a 3-hour show to Editor Joe. Sorry. Here's the thing is if we're using the Game Changers list as a tool to filter the banned cards through, we're using the bracket system as a tool to filter banned cards through. We can say, okay, we're never going to see Primetime at brackets 1, 2, and very unfrequently at 3.
Sure.
How often are we going to see it at 4? Probably often.
Yeah.
And then how often are we going to see it in 5? Probably not that often.
Because remember, like 5 is kind of the way I conceptualize it. It's one of those games where it's like an old, like a vintage or a legacy game where you win on the back of a 3/3, right? So
yeah.
Primeval Titan would be CDH's version of that fucking blue guy that is a 3/2 that flies. Delver.
Yeah,
is it
Delver?
What? Not Delver.
Yeah. Delver Secrets.
Yeah.
I think, and we're not super CEDH buffs, but I think if you're not winning with a combo or trying to go for it right now, you're winning on the back of like overwhelming advantage that you accrue throughout the game.
Which you could get with Primeval Titan.
Definitely you can get that with Primeval Titan, but not on the back of how you would do it in a more casual thing where you're actually playing like Ghostly Flicker and Comeuppance and Ephemerate. That's how Primetime is going to get abused at the 3 and 4 level brackets. At number 5, you're going to accelerate out a 6/6 like you do in Modern and just try and beat to get overwhelming advantage from the course of turn 3 to turn 10 because you're not comboing. And I think it's actually totally fine in CEDH. I think it's totally fine if you want to flicker Primetime at lower power levels. And for that reason, I think that's fine because it's 6 mana. You have to get there.
Yeah.
Well, with Dockside, if we go back to Dockside, it's freaking 1 or 2 mana. Yeah. Right? And it's so easy to get a cost reducer on a goblin or a cost reducer on a creature. It's so easy to go mana positive. And it's so easy at any power level to flicker something that costs 2. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Coalition Victory, still unbanned. But Primetime, I think, could be, if we had to unban 2 cards, Primetime might be the other one.
Sure, I think that there's other ones that I would unban before Primeval Titan.
Okay, we'll keep going down the list here.
Here's a hint. According to, this is the one, if you guessed this next card on the pre-show yesterday, you have won. Because this is the one that the tables, as soon as I said the name, everyone was like, nope, leave it forever. Nobody wants to deal with that crap. And the guy sitting next to me, very new to Magic, he's only been playing a couple of months, says, well, what does it do? And I told him, it's a 15/15 for 15 that can't be countered, that has Annihilator 6 and flying, and has protection from colored spells. And he was like, oh yeah, that can stay banned forever. Emrakul the Eon Storm.
Emrakul 1.0. Man, I wish I had a big card Emrakul.
Oh, yeah. And when you cast it, you take an extra turn. Oh, also that. Yes, as if it wasn't enough.
Here's the thing. If Emrakul didn't have that extra turn clause, that card would be unbanned so fast.
You're probably right.
But in a world, and I think Emrakul, a little bit, Emrakul paid for Tolarian Academy's sins. Because those cards were illegal at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that people really got tired of Tolarian Academy bullshit.
Yeah.
That got banned in EDH back in like 2009 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because everybody was like, I don't know, turn 3 Emrakul, I'll take an extra turn, annihilate for you.
6.
Bounce my Emrakul.
Do it again.
I'll take an extra turn now and I'll hit you for 6. 15 and 6. Right? I think a little bit. If I was going to, gun to my head, unban Coalition Victory or Emrakul, it would probably be Coalition Victory.
Yes, I think, I'm assuming we can probably all, as much as I would love to play it in my Wolfgar deck, which is all Eldrazi all the time. I understand why I can't.
Yeah, you know what though? I'll say this. Maybe this is a hot take. I want to live in a world where Emrakul is legal. I want to live in that world.
I'm not super afraid of it as somebody that plays a deck that's stuffed with creatures that have huge Annihilator numbers on them.
I want to stuff somebody with Emrakul.
Right? I don't think it would actually be that egregious.
It costs 15
in most cases. And again, people always look at it like they do Jeweled Lotus, where they look at the most insane scenarios, the turn 1, the turn 2 Emrakul, as opposed to like the second turn you draw it, you have no ramp and only 3 land, and you have a 15/15 for 15 in your hand,
and your
that
deck,
you never play.
And your deck is also full of other Eldrazi's that cost between 8 and 14.
Yes. And speaking of somebody that has lived that reality, it sucks. And having one that costs 15 instead of 12 wouldn't really change how I feel on my insides that much.
No.
So there's that.
You know what? I know I could play Legacy and I could go like Omniscience Emrakul. Yeah. Show and Tell Omniscience Emrakul. I know that's a deck. So maybe that's where I go and use my Emrakuls. I think I got 2 of them.
4.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Foils? Yep. Alternate arts?
Yep.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay. Arayo Soratomi Ascendant. This is a flippy dippy card.
I used to play this card, actually. I think it's a something for blue 1. It doesn't really matter what it does initially, but when you cast your 4th spell of the turn, it flips over, And on the bottom half, that's where it gets egregious, where it counters the first spell played by each opponent on each turn.
And it stops being a creature. Very important.
Yes.
That in that it's just a legendary enchantment at that point.
Yeah.
Man.
And I'm telling you, every time I played that, it flipped over the turn I played it. And every time that happened, I won that game. Because it just...
Ooh.
If you do it early enough, it essentially stops your opponents from doing anything but play land. And then for the rest, you got to wait until they get to the point where you're casting 2 spells a turn, and they have to like start picking which of their stuff they want to like essentially sacrifice
or
to try and get around it. It's
you know what's so fantastic about this that is so hard to beat is if it's my turn and I try to cast a creature, it gets countered, and then I have to cast a second creature. So whatever I do, it's throwaway. But then on your turn, if you're attacking me and I go Swords to Plowshares, it actually gets countered again.
Yep.
My first spell on each turn is countered. So I got to go like bullshit throwaway instant speed.
Yeah.
And then Swords to Plowshares.
Then swords it.
Oh my God, this card is so hard to play through. I remember when it got banned as a commander, right? It was banned as a commander, and I had a foil one in my Grand Arbiter deck.
Of course you did.
Yeah, and I had a foil one in my Baron Master Wizard deck that blinked Emrakul into Lyrian Academy before that because I was a piece of shit. And man, I can definitely see why it's banned. It just changes the game into like everything. You have to do everything twice. It's not Magic anymore.
It warps the whole game around it in the same manner that Hirobi does, but in a more like brutal game fucking up way.
Yeah, stay banned.
Absolutely.
Keep Coalition Victory off the ban list.
Absolutely.
All right, Falling Star. That's another
dexterity
flippy
card.
card. Yeah. Okay, Fast Bond. Here we go.
I'm fine to leave that one on the ban
Fast
list.
Bond, baby. Fast Bond.
Our local lance player, Aiden, was like, he looked at me like this. He went like this.
You think Fast Bond should be unbanned? What are you, fucking high?
Yes. That's exactly
What he said.
I'm the lance player and I don't want it.
Okay, so it's an enchantment for green.
Yep.
You can play any number of lands per turn.
Correct.
But after your first regular ass land drop, it's 1 life per land you put into play.
Yes.
What if you have cards that say you could play an extra land per turn?
You would take 1 each.
Oh, you still do? You still take damage, even though you can play 2 lands?
But unless they've errated it, I can't see why they would.
I don't care. It's still powerful.
yeah.
It still does what you want it to do.
Yeah, and you have 4. And the reason that it's banned initially is like, well, what if you have a hand with 7 land in it? Then you're top decking, and you might top deck more land, and it didn't do anything for you. You always have your commander in the command zone. You know what I mean? You could go land, fast bond, land, commander, turn 1.
Yes.
And you're off to the races, right?
Yeah. You could also do something like Necropotence or Ad Nauseam and draw 25 cards, fast bond, put 25 land into play if you're a lands player. Like that's 100% what I would do in my lands deck.
You could play Scoot Swarm in one of those Karoo lands that bounce themselves back to your hand from Ravnica.
Oh my God. And if you have a Soul Sister in play, like an Essence Warden, because it's also green like Scoot Swarm and Fast Bond. And if you have a Karoo land and they make those in monocolor, they're from Mirage, look them up. It gives you green and 1 instead of 2 different colors.
Yep.
Or you could do the colorless one, and you could just infinite bounce and replay and gain life when Scoot Swarms come into the battlefield.
Yep.
Yeah. So that would be a combo that you could do as early as turn 2.
Yeah,
turn 1 if you're playing like Moxes and shit. You could do that combo turn 1.
It's wild. So
Fast
Bond can fuck off.
Flash.
Also fuck off.
Flash. That ruined CEDH for a while. That was okay. This was a posterity ban though. This was a ban because CEDH players wanted it banned. Yep. It's a blue and 1 instant. You have to sacrifice a creature to put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield, right?
You put a creature into play, and then you have to sacrifice it unless you pay its converted mana cost minus blue and 1.
Yeah, by the end of the turn or whatever, right?
Right then.
Oh, so you get your ETB and then your guy fucks off because you don't care.
Correct.
You'd put in a Protean Hulk,
and then win.
It would immediately die, and then you search for 7 CMC worth of creatures from your deck, and those 7 CMC worth of creatures is like 3 or 4 creatures that all combo together instantly.
Yes.
Yes.
I would say leave it on the ban list because the CEDH guys asked for it to be put on the ban list. And if they're the ones asking for it, who are we to argue with them?
Nobody, I don't think, is playing Flash fairly.
Yeah.
And the CEDH people wanted it on there because it was ruining their format. Because their format plays all the tutors. They just find Flash in the first couple turns. If you top deck Flash with all your free mana rocks, you basically instantly win on turn 1.
Yep. So
I was going to leave it on the list because CEDH guys want it on the list for the same reason as you.
Yep.
Gifts Ungiven.
Gifts Ungiven, we had I wouldn't say a lively debate, but lots of discussion about it. It's an instant for blue 3.
Yeah.
I think it's blue 3. You search your library for 4 cards with different names.
Yep.
An opponent puts 2 of them into your hand and 2 of them into your bin. I actually think it's worded 2 of them go into your... They pick 2, those 2 go to your graveyard, and the other 2 go into your hand.
Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards, put the chosen cards into your yard, and the rest into your hand.
There we go.
Up to 4 cards.
And what you find is your combo pieces and then reanimation pieces for your combo pieces and win.
Or you just find 4 of the exact same thing, like 4 regrowth effects because you already have something in your graveyard that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I remember the first time I got Gifts Ungiven by my friend Mitch. He searched for regrowth, Yawgmoth's Will, Black Lotus, and Mox Pearl. That's what he searched for.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't know. I've never even seen a Black Lotus before. This is pretty cool. And I'm like, I don't know.
I guess I'll just lose.
I guess whatever I put in, you're just going to get back, right? And he's like, yeah, that's exactly why I picked 2 things that get me stuff back from my graveyard. Yep. And the Yawgmoth's Will would have made him 4 mana because he would have got his Lotus and his frickin' Mox back.
Yeah.
And his regrowth twice, if I gave him the frickin' regrowth and the Yawgmoth's Will. Man, that card's frickin' good. Gifts Ungiven, though, I think, honestly, I think you unban that card.
I'd be open to trying it, honestly. And I think that some of the guys that we were talking to yesterday was also on that kind of same wavelength where we could maybe try it.
The thing about Gifts Ungiven is just like Flash, nobody would use it fairly.
Yeah.
I can think of exactly one deck that I would put it in, and it exactly is going to get me Graveyard Getter backers and my combo piece. That's the only thing that card will ever find.
And honestly, I probably wouldn't even play it. I honestly wouldn't. I own a couple, and I wouldn't play it. If it was unbanned, I'm not aching to play that card. So
I would have a fucking Force of Will and a Pact of Negation in my hand, and on your end of turn, I would cast Gifts Ungiven, and I would search for Graveyard Getter backers and Maddening Cacophony in my Bruvac deck, and I am playing that card next turn. There's nothing that you can do about it because I have 2 free counter spells for backup for both these spells.
There it is.
That's how it's going to get used.
Yep.
And even though that's the case, I would still say, hey, let's maybe unban this. How different really is this than Demonic Tutor for the same card?
Well, you get 4 cards instead of 1. That's what makes it different. And it's an instant.
It is an instant. It is an instant, but you do have to do some work. You have to do some work to make those 4 cards. You have to have a plan.
You've done the work when you built the deck.
Yes, you're right. And that's the argument. I mean, that's why it would stay banned, is because it's in there, because it's going to find my same shit every time, just like a tutor.
Exactly.
Except it tutors for 2 things.
Yeah.
Really, it tutors for 4, but you get 2 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving along. That one can stay fucked off.
Stay fucked up. So we're still unbanning Coalition Victory?
Well, if we're doing, Coalition Victory is going to be hard to beat. And Biorhythm also, because...
Yeah. Okay, those are our 2 so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can skip Golos. We can skip Grizzlebrand.
Grizzlebrand staying banned forever. Grizzle banned.
We heard...
Hull Breacher.
Here's one that lots of people are like, I don't know, I think I'd be fine with that.
Hull Breacher is a cock.
Here's the unless. Hull Breacher is a creature for blue and 2 with flash. And it says on it, if a player would draw a card other than the first card they draw each turn, instead they just fucking don't, and we make a treasure token.
Yes. Very specifically... First one they draw at each of their draw steps. So if I brainstorm on your turn, Hull Breacher doesn't actually stop that. Because that's not during my draw step. No,
it does stop that.
Yes, sorry, it does stop that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I get 3 treasures, and you put 2 cards in your hand back into play.
It doesn't stop me from drawing during my draw step. That's what it
Correct.
is. Yes. Yeah. So I can still draw. If I draw any other cards, you make a treasure. instead.
Yes.
I get nothing.
Correct.
So,
And the reasoning for this is fine as long as opposition agent is fine. If this is banned, opposition agent should be banned, and vice versa. That was the argument that I was kind of presented with at the time. I don't know how I feel about that, because I think this is much more egregious than opposition agent is.
okay,
but-
I thought you were talking about Notion Thief, which is another card just like this. It's a 4-drop with flash that when at ETBs, if you were going to draw cards, I draw them instead.
Yeah.
Right? What would you rather have? You don't draw cards and I do? Or you don't draw cards and I get treasure? Like, what is it? Like, if this is not fine, why is Notion Thief fine?
I don't know.
I don't know. Somebody explain that to me like I'm 5.
Yes.
Now, it costs it's 2 different colors.
Down in the comments.
It costs 4.
Yep.
Like, those are both strikes against Notion Thief. Or
Sure.
strikes against Hull Breacher because it costs 3 and is 1 color. It's easier to cast.
Yes.
But, man, a treasure's definitely worth a card.
Yeah, but a card is a fucking card.
But a card is a card.
And that one's fine.
And you know what the other thing, too, is it scales accordingly. A treasure, the higher competition you go, like if you were playing this off the Game Changers list, brackets 3, 4, 5, a treasure gets more valuable because cards get cheaper and more streamlined. And a card is a card, though. Yeah. Treasures let me cast those cards that get more powerful as I go up.
Yep.
But the cards get that much better. So, like, Notion Thief actually gets better in higher competition games, just like Hull Breacher does, just like a treasure does.
And here's how you do it. You play both.
Yeah. And you know what? I think Notion Thief and Hull Breacher should both be on the Game Changers list. There's one that I've never heard anybody say yet. Why ain't Notion Thief on the Game Changers list?
I forget that frickin' Notion Thief even exists, if I'm honest. Like, it's been so long since I've thought of that card. I should get one and play it in a deck. You spelled thief wrong.
I spelled thief wrong, yeah. Flash, 3/1, black, blue, 2. If an opponent would draw a card, except for the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, just like Hull Breacher, instead, that player skips that, and I draw that card.
And they're worth approximately 50 cents or $6 Canadian.
Yes. So, Hull Breacher, man, if Oppo Agent's not on the ban list, and
Notion Thief isn't even
Notion
looked at.
Thief ain't even looked at, both of those cards and Hull Breacher, all Game Changer list. Unban Hull Breacher. Unban them.
Sure.
Unban them. I don't care what CH says about this one. Unban them.
I'd be willing to try. And how many times did you actually run into the guy that was playing, if people even play Nekuzar anymore, that like wheel you with it on? Like, did that ever happen?
Well, wheel decks are certainly decks.
Yeah.
And Notion Thief certainly goes in those decks.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's already happening.
Yeah. Iona
Shield
of
can
Emeria.
she can stay gone. I think she's the ultimate feel bad card.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly fine with her staying on the ban list.
I'd unban her. She costs 9. I'm letting everybody out of jail.
9 is 5.
9 doesn't matter.
You
Yeah.
could play 9. You could play Iona fairly consistently in any game that you draw her in. And the fact that she could be in your command zone is also...
but then you're playing mono white and your commander's frickin' 9.
That's not as bad as you might think. Now, Iona, for the people who don't know, is a 7/7 flying angel for white 6. When she comes into play, you pick color, and your opponents can't play spells of that color as long as she's in play.
That's a mighty powerful Magic the Gathering card.
Like if you have a mono green, a teamer, and a
Golgari or whatever.
Golgari player at the table, you just turn all their decks off. You pick green.
All greens are gone.
Yeah.
No green for you.
Correct.
Yeah. And man, she costs 9. You could reanimate her. Like, you could put her in your angel deck, put her in your big creature deck, your reanimator deck.
She was one of my dredge targets when I played Legacy Dredge.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Because she just turned my opponent's deck off.
Yeah, that's good.
And I got a 7/7 with flying.
Yeah, really good against Merfolk or Goblins or Burn, all decks in, like, of that time.
Yep.
She turned them all off.
Yep.
Yeah. Stay banned? Yeah, it's the ultimate feel bad card.
I'm fine with her staying banned.
You know what? I look at her like she changes games and shuts, like, Time Walks guys, like Emrakul does.
Yep.
Emrakul, if that's staying on the list, then Iona stays on the list, is my theory. Like, if I was making a bracket and like the bracket would be Emrakul versus Iona. Who gets unbanned? Fuck, I think that would be a tough bracket.
That's a hard
That would be a
one.
tough bracket, hey?
Let us know down below.
Yeah, for
Emrakul
sure.
or Iona. You have to unban one. Which one is it?
Yeah. Man, okay. Caracas. I want this card unbanned.
I am fine with it staying banned.
Throw white a bone. Come on.
For the reason that only white can play it.
Throw him a bone.
If it was a colorless land, I think I would be more apt to unban it.
Oh, yeah. I'd give it to blue and green.
Yeah.
And black.
Yep. And red.
No, just white. Just white.
Nope.
Caracas, you tap it for a white, or you tap it and return a legendary creature to its owner's hand.
Yes.
Yes.
So it essentially makes it so somebody never has access to the commander, or your commander can never die, or like it's very, very, very good. Alex bought 4 of them because he didn't know that they were banned.
Ooh.
I figured, well, it was reprinted in Lord of the Rings. Why would they reprint banned cards? And then now we know.
I got my Caracas box topper from FusionGamingOnline.com using, the promo code at the time, but today's promo code, CCO Holiday. Get a discount on your Caracas if they're going to get unbanned like I want them to.
I don't think they will.
I won't think they.
I don't think they will.
No.
I think that it's more of a feelings stay banned, but I don't know. I think because it's only it's a white card and
No, I freaking hate it. I want it unbanned.
good. I'm glad you hate it, and
I
I'm
have a
glad that I like
Legends
that
one.
it's banned.
I got a Legends one.
I think is mine a Legends one
I want
too?
to play Legends. Yeah.
I think I have a
Caracas.
Legends one too. Actually,
Caracas. Okay. Another in the long line of list of things that I want unbanned. Jeweled Lotus.
and Mana Crypt. Unban them both.
Unban them.
Yes.
Now, they're not going to do that because everybody offloaded them because they're cheap and it's going to be a butthurt, feel bad thing.
Yeah, fuck those people.
I want to play those cards.
Don't be a coward. Keep your shit.
Hold on to your feelings forever.
Yeah.
Never let them out. Especially your feelings that are called Jeweled Lotus.
Yeah. And if you're, I mean, I don't want to call anybody a dirtbag, but if you took a Jeweled Lotus that is completely unplayable in any format of Magic the Gathering, anywhere, anytime, anywhere, ever, and nobody's ever going to want to buy it again for any amount of money because it's completely unplayable, and then you trade it into your LGS that you play at and gives you a place to hang out and just take $50 of their money, are you a dirtbag? Because I feel like you might be.
Yeah. You know what? I want Jeweled Lotus. I had this conversation in the CCO Discord. If you want to get in the Discord, support us on Patreon. It's a great old time. I had this conversation on Discord. And the general consensus from everybody who was not me was Jeweled Lotus is a net neutral card for the format.
Yeah.
It blows games wide open if you turn one it and can cast your commander turn one, especially in combo decks or at high power level.
Yes.
And that's the exact reason that burst mana, 5 mana on turn 2, for example, was the exact reason cited that it was banned.
Correct.
I think, okay, and here's the thing. You only get one opening turn in the game. You only get one turn 1. You only get one turn 2. You only get one early game.
Yes.
And sure, you could apply the same logic to middle of the game and late game. You get one mid game, you get one end game. But really, those two portions of the game blend together and end up just being not your early game. And I think that Jeweled Lotus in that portion of the game is great. I think if you're playing a 5, 6, 7, 8 drop commander, Jeweled Lotus is great.
Yeah.
Because, well, like Toxtrol. How many times you cast Toxtrol for 11?
Oh, so many.
Wouldn't Jeweled Lotus be great there?
Sure would.
Also, with a 7-drop commander like Toxtrol, 7, right?
Yep.
You're not going to cast Toxtrol on turn 2, probably.
Well, yeah.
Especially in your Toxtrol deck that is very definitely not a CEDH deck.
Yeah.
Where you're very definitely not playing any other burst mana.
Yeah.
Right? I think that because it helps decks, because it's a very cornerstone type of card for the format of Commander, never mind the game of Commander, but the format, it says Commander and Command Zone and all that shit right on it. And that's what it's for. So the feel goods when players open it in packs and what it does for the middle and end of game, I think are good enough reasons to unban it because like those are good reasons to have that card in your deck.
Yeah.
It also gives you burst mana, and that's important to some people also in the 4 and 5 brackets. That is a reason to unban it.
Mm-hmm.
The burst mana, when power levels are mismatched, or you're playing for money or prizes in a CEDH tournament and somebody luck, sack, top deck, opening hands their Jeweled Lotus, and you fucking lose, I mean, that might be a reason to keep it banned. But also, you're getting into CEDH. Like, you know that's what's going to happen.
That's just going to happen without
Jeweled Lotus.
And it's probably going to happen the same percentage of the time.
It's going to happen when they unban Coalition Victory. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Transguild Courier, baby, and whatever that card you said was.
Prismatic Vista? Prismatic Omen.
Prismatic Omen, yeah.
There we go. So the moral of the story is we can unban Jeweled Lotus and
yeah.
Mana Crypt because I have them and I want to play them.
Mana Crypt, I don't know.
Unban it.
If we want to limit the amount of burst mana, like probability,
I don't.
I think that the Mana Crypt stays banned.
No.
It's way more continuously usable.
Yeah.
Than Jeweled Lotus. So
Lightning bolts me every turn.
It shocks you.
That's 3.
What is 3?
Yeah, it's 3.
It is 3.
Yeah,
it is 3.
See, Lightning Bolt, one of the best cards in Magic. See CCO Sidewalk Slam Season 3, Episode 1 on YouTube now.
Yes, sir.
To learn how good Lightning Bolt is.
Yes, very good. Leovold, we're gonna move past him.
We're gonna skip over him and Library.
Library of Alexander. You don't want to talk about that one?
No, because
that card's freaking good.
It's a card that when we explained it, like the old guys at the table sort of explained how it worked and what it does to all the people. Was like, I don't even know why it's on there. And then we told them how much it costs, and they were like, yeah, like who even cares? Like, nobody's ever gonna play that.
It's $1,300.
Yeah, for a land that taps for a colorless, or you can tap it to draw a card if you have 7 cards in your hand.
So when you play it in your opening hand, after you've drawn your card for turn, you just draw another card.
Yeah.
And then on your turn, when you go up to 8, when you draw your card and play your second land, you just draw another card. And it's your fucking land that's doing that.
Yeah.
This card, very powerful. I think price prohibition makes it not very out in the wild. I think it would be fine to unban for that reason.
Yeah.
I think that if it was on the Game Changers list, you would see it so infrequently that it wouldn't matter if it got unbanned. Unban it.
Like, whatever.
Limited resources. Now, this is a card I was actually excited to talk to you about because this is like a stacks card.
Stacks card indeed.
Okay, white enchantment. Whenever an enchantment enters, each player chooses 5 lands they control and bins the rest. Players can't play lands as long as there are 10 or more lands on the battlefield. This is why you want your Mana Crypt unbanned.
Yeah.
So you can play Mana Crypt and a bunch of Mana Rocks, and nobody can play lands.
That's right.
Now, 10 lands between 2 players, like when this card came out in Exodus, was like okay.
Sure.
10 lands between 4 players is not very many lands.
Yeah, that's not okay.
That's like 2 or 3 lands per person.
Yeah, I'll bet you in the average Commander game, I'll bet you that's turn 2, you're probably up near 9 or 10 land already.
Yes.
Because there's 2 lands per person per turn, that's 8. If 2 players ramp, that's 10 land right there. And you can't play anymore.
Yes.
You can put them into play, though.
You could put them into play, yes.
So this is another one of those kind of feel-baddy ones. This grinds games to a miserable
halt.
Yes, like, oh my god.
It very definitely reads like it's going to be in the same deck as Armageddon and other stacks pieces because you're finding a way around it. Like, I don't care about lands in my Planeswalker deck or in my Artifact deck that makes 10 treasures a turn.
Or my deck that has all of my dudes tap for mana.
Yes.
Like, it's so easy for you as a deck-building human to get around limited resources, whereas your opponents now are essentially just out of the game.
Now, that said, if Blood Moon and other mana denial cards are not on the Game Changers list, but there is a rule that governs it and saying no mana denial in mass or in the first portion of the game, if you're in brackets 1 or 2 or 3, I think limited resources could be unbanned safely. And it's going to go into the same decks that are already doing that kind of bullshit anyways. Grinding the game to a halt, stacksing, destroying lands.
I don't know if you can have... I wouldn't put Blood Moon and limited resources on the same level.
No.
Because if you're playing basic lands in your deck, Blood Moon doesn't do anything.
Okay, yep.
Like, Blood Moon, you could play a Blood Moon and have it do literal nothing. If you just... And you don't need to have 100% basic lands as your mana base, but you need to have a couple, and you need to be aware of that. If you run into a mono red player and you play a fetch land, maybe fetch a basic. And then their Blood Moon that they might play later on in the game means nothing.
Limited resources does not allow for that.
Yeah, limited resources doesn't account for that, and it essentially, especially if kind of you're at 5, you have 5 of the lands, and your opponents now have to kind of squabble over who gets the
other 5,
right?
Just you got the lion's share.
Exactly. So it's a nightmare.
I know that land playing is at sorcery speed, but I love kind of thinking about when do I crack my fetch land if limited resources is on the battlefield?
And I know that this is magical Christmas land kind of town, but let's say you have let's say you have 2 land drops a turn.
Sure.
And you can play lands from your bin.
Yeah.
And one of your lands is a strip mine. So you strip mine one of your opponent's lands to bring total land count down to 9, then you play an additional land.
Or strip mine again.
Giving you a land. Right? And then you just keep strip mining their land until you have all 10 of the available lands. And I know that that's not going to happen very often, but that's the first thing I'm going to try to do.
I think that decks that want to do that are trying to do that anyways. Right? Like my lands deck, I know with certainty that I couldn't beat a guy. So instead of trying to beat him, I can play 4 lands per turn, and I got a strip mine in my graveyard. I'm just going to start going to fucking town. And I'm going to strip every single goddamn thing he's got until he can do nothing forever. He's going to be nobody from nowhere. And that's the game. And then he's just going to have to scoop. He's got a lock on the table, but I've got more cards in my library than him, and he can do nothing. Right? Limited resources gives me just a way to
really enforce that.
Really enforce that by saying, listen, I already have 10. I'm the captain now, and I do this. I don't know. Unban it. Fuck it. Loot Tree, keep them banned.
Yeah, Loot Tree.
Mana Crypt, keep it banned.
All the Moxen, go to hell.
Nadu, keep them banned.
Panoptic Mirror.
Now, I like this one.
Panoptic Mirror is an artifact for 5. It has X tap. Remove an instant or sorcery card with mana cost X from your hand. Imprint it onto Panoptic Mirror. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may copy a spell exiled with Panoptic Mirror and play it for free. It is banned because of cards like Time Walk, where you exile Time Walk, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you play Time Walk for free and take infinite turns.
A just question, my liege. Time Walk, also banned. Time Warp.
Time Warp.
Time Warp, you mean?
Yes, that is what I meant, yes.
That's exactly the reason it's banned. It's been on the Commander ban list, I think, since Commander existed.
Yep.
Because of that exact reason. Like when we started playing EDH, like in 2008 or 9,
yep.
Panoptic Mirror already banned.
Yep.
For that exact reason. And like other cards we've talked about, nobody's doing anything with that except that.
Yes.
I think that people don't play Panoptic Mirror because they're not interested in spending 10 to do really anything.
Yeah.
Because it's 5, then you got to imprint it, and then you can cast it.
Yeah.
And you got to wait a turn probably. I don't think anybody's interested in paying that amount of mana unless you're getting something like an extra turn every turn, or something like an Emrakul, or something like a Insurrection every frickin' turn, where you just take all the turn. Insurrection, take all your guys. They all get haste. I'm going to do it every turn.
Yep.
Extra turn, every turn, and they're all mine.
Yes.
Right? Like, I think this card stays banned.
Absolutely. There's no reason
banned.
to unban that.
I would definitely put it in my my Marvel extra turns deck if it did get unbanned. Paradox Engine.
Paradox Engine. We talked about this lots, actually. This was one of the ones that we actually sat in. Like, we had to order another round of beers to talk about Paradox Engine.
That's a good idea.
And the reason that we all decided, as the members of the nation, that this card should probably stay fucked off is because it can lead to the... Oh, let's read what it does. It's an artifact for 5.
Yes.
Whenever you cast a spell, you untap all your non-land permanents.
Pretty good.
So you play a bunch of rocks, you tap the rocks, play a spell, untap the rocks, to tap the rocks, to play another spell. And what it often devolves into are these long turns where it's just one guy kind of did. These are the turns that we joke about all the time. We're like, yeah, the guy took a 45-minute turn, did 1 damage to that guy, 3 damage to themselves, and drew 1 card.
Or drew 20 cards and whiffed because he didn't get what he needed.
Yeah.
He didn't draw his tutor for his combo piece, or he didn't get his damage engine. I played Paradox Engine in my Zata deck before it got banned, and it's a non-deterministic combo card where once it's online and the engine is rolling, moving, you can do the thing, but it doesn't actually win you the game without help from something else. And that something else sometimes and usually takes a long time to materialize.
Yep.
So usually it's by way of like, I'm just going to continue like making infinite mana and drawing a card when I'm trying to do a thing. But a lot of the mana is usually colorless, and it's usually like a paradox engine, and then you got to usually find like an Isochron Scepter and a dramatic reversal or whatever it's called, and then you can bounce everything, and like, man, it's a whole thing.
Yep.
And it's bullshit. And it was banned because it's very, very powerful and hard to stop because there's no central thing.
Yeah,
right?
well, aside from it.
Except for it, yeah. There's no central thing, though. If I destroy Paradox Engine, you can probably get it back because you built your deck right.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it.
It's an artifact.
Because it's a Paradox Engine deck.
Yeah.
And it's powerful, but it's also bullshit. And it takes away my agency to play the game. It takes away my time.
Yeah. That's the thing that gets me, is like those turns are just, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them.
Yeah.
And
did anybody want it unbanned?
No.
No? Everybody said keep
At first we thought, well, you could maybe. Like we had like could maybe was as high as anybody got.
Nobody's
then it was
doing
like,
fair
nah.
shit with this.
No.
And even if you say, I'm doing fair stuff with this, I don't have the combos or the end result for Paradox Engine.
Then why are you taking a goddamn 35-minute turn?
You still take a 35-minute turn.
That's even worse. That's
Yes.
even worse.
At least kill me. If you're going to
Yeah.
step on my nuts with high heels, like at least
Yeah.
kill me after.
You have the decency to frickin' end it all after that.
Yeah. We
Talk.
talked about prime time. So keep it banned?
Yeah.
Okay. Prime time,
Talked about that already?
I say keep it. I unban it. Should we do one more? How are we doing for time there, producer Gary? You know what?
Let's do one more because we have to get to this one. I want to get to this one.
Let's do one more, and then either next week or on the pre-show, we're gonna do the rest of them because I actually enjoyed this conversation, and
we've got
I
some,
hope that people did too.
And we got some good cards coming up too. Like watch the pre-show next week.
I want to do it on the regular show. Let's do the whole show.
You're going to hear some fucking good shit.
Okay.
And let us know your thoughts too. We'll incorporate them into the show.
Absolutely.
This is the last one. It's Reoccurring Nightmare.
Oh man.
Your boy Brando, when I was building what the hell? Necrobloom.
This is the card you bought?
I saw, wait, Reoccurring Nightmare. Oh my god, this card is so good. I'm definitely going to buy one of these. It's going to be so fucking awesome. And then I added it to my deck list. And I was like, what's wrong with my list? Why is it red? Oh, it's bad. And it cost me like $70. In-store credit.
You did buy it?
Yes, I did buy it.
You're such a
I
loser.
purchased one and just got wrecked by it. Reoccurring Nightmare is an enchantment for black and 2. You sacrifice a creature and return it to your hand to take a creature from your bin and put it into play.
Only as a sorcery.
As a sorcery.
Yeah. Because,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you bounce the nightmare to your hand, so you can then play it again, thereby making it a reoccurring reanimation spell.
Yep.
Okay, that's why it's reoccurring, because you can play it again. It doesn't go to your graveyard. You sack a creature.
Mm-hmm.
You sack a creature, return it to its owner's hand, return target creature from your graveyard to the back. Now, can I sacrifice the creature and target it?
No.
I can't do this?
I don't think so. No ability trigger. Anyways, the point is,
Oh, man.
this card is wild, and you can see the recursion happening already. We'll use Cockslide Extortionist as an example. You could use Reoccurring Nightmare to get the Dockside Extortionist, to replay the Reoccurring Nightmare to sack the Dockside Extortionist to get something else back. Then you can use the mana that you made with the Dockside Extortionist to get back the Dockside Extortionist, right? And you just loop them and loop them and loop
Yes.
them and loop them and loop them. And there's so many ways to do that. Plus,
Yes. You can sacrifice the creature and then immediately return the same creature to the battlefield using Reoccurring Nightmare.
there you go.
So with Dockside Extortionist, the one that you go mana positive on to, I don't know, cast Reoccurring Nightmare again.
Yes.
Or if you had a haste enabler and something like a mana dork that taps for
Multiple
mana, like the Gaia's Cradle or the Sarah's Sanctum creatures that give you all that mana. Or if you just had lots of mana and you put down a creature that buffed all your guys, like ETB'd, and you could get a second
big.
ETB again,
Yeah.
Like if you could go Crater Hoof Behemoth,
No.
sack it to Reoccurring Nightmare,
Do it again.
immediately get it back, and then play my Reoccurring Nightmare and like do it again. Like you get 2 or 3 Crater Hoof triggers.
Because why not?
This card slaps.
Yeah, Reoccurring Nightmare, very good card. And based on that, like you can see why it's banned. Because it's hard to interact with too. Because once it's in play, your opponents can't like, we'll just kill the enchantment. Yeah, you can do that, but I can activate it before you have the opportunity to do anything because of how priority works.
Yes, exactly. When it resolves, I get priority again because it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sacrifice a creature and return it to my hand. That's the cost. And you can't respond to me paying a cost because I get my turn to do something. It's called priority.
Yeah.
And then it's in my hand and your disenchant hits nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just fucking play it again and get my Crater Hoof a third time.
So it's degenerate.
Unban it, and I'm going to do it with Primetime, like 3 times in a row. Because Primetime's going to get me the mana to do it. I can almost go like mana neutral on it and get every land out of my deck.
I just wanted to do it to get my Necrotic Ooze back. All I wanted to do.
Primetime's got an ETB trigger, right?
Yeah.
So if I have a Panharmonicon and a Primetime and a Reoccurring Nightmare, I get every land out of my deck.
Yep.
Absolutely, I do that every single time.
They're tapped.
Unban them all. Not with fucking Sundial and Infinite, they're not. Or whatever that card is.
You play that?
No.
Amulet of Vigor.
Amulet of Vigor, yeah, that's
Sundial the Infinite, I think, ends the turn. But.
Amulet of Vigor. Yes.
Where else could we go from here, Ryan? We could go down the list of cards, and we're going to do that again next week. We got some other stuff to talk to. We got to be going out of here.
I was going to one-up you. Where could we go from here? To FusionGamingOnline.com. Use special promo code CCO Holiday. Pick up all these banned cards before they spike when they get unbanned.
Yeah, man, I was really happy that I did not spend full price on my Reoccurring Nightmare. Thanks, Fusion.
Hey, maybe they'll get unbanned. You can play it.
Ooh, I hope so.
Probably not, but hey, if it was up to me, fuck, unban it. Let him out of jail.
Yeah, it's fine. It's got a cool picture on it, too.
Jeff Lauberstein did it. He's a nice guy.
He's got eyeballs and stuff and a guy with a flat top haircut.
That's it. That's all I got. Big thanks to the patrons. Big thanks to everybody. Big thanks to producer Gary. Big thanks to editor Joe. I know we went a couple minutes longer, so I'm going to get out of here.
And I'm going to go with them. And we're going to be back to finish off this list on the next exciting episode of Commander Cookout Podcast. Hit our theme song!